Thank you for staying with us. Now, social media is a widely used platform to share information and make connection among people all over the world. However, the increasing rate of misinformation and abuse is on the rise. The Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, has pointed out that the dangers posed by social media if not regulated. According to him, social media has become a societal menace and must be controlled. Mr. Gbajabiamila said this while representing the President at the public presentation of a book written by the former Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, in Lagos. Recall that in 2021, Twitter was banned in Nigeria for a couple of months due to the popularity of fake news, and at that time it was strongly opposed by many Nigerians.
I remember as Speaker, when I was Speaker, I attempted to do this. The Ninth Assembly attempted, but we were resisted very vigorously by civil society. I guess the chickens have come home to roost, and I believe we're all on the same page now. That social media is a menace, and it must be regulated.
Well, joining us in the studio is former member, House of Representatives, political analyst, Honorable Jide Jimoh. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Now, there's been several perspectives with regards to this matter of misinformation on social media, fake news, abuse, and all of it. And there are those who have called for regulation. There are others who are saying there is freedom of expression. So let's know where you stand, first of all, with regards to regulating the social media.
Thank you very much. I give thanks to Almighty God, the ruler of heaven and the earth, for giving me the opportunity to be alive. Having said this, I will thank you for this information you are trying to give to the public. And I want to say unequivocally that the Constitution is expressly clear. Section 39 of the Constitution, Section 36, 35, 40, 41, 40, 40, is about freedom. Right to everything you think
Absolutely.
is very important.
Especially in a democracy.
But the issue of social media, I want us to take it from this angle. Social media itself is a science. And anything science must be valuable. For the fact that social media has been described as a media where you can use to give information to people and not disinformation and not misinformation. It has to be educative. That's number one. Number two, I'm not against social media. That's the one thing I want you to know. But there is no crime for anybody to suggest that social media should be regulated. No crime. That's two. Three, I want to tell us here now that every single sector, every single establishment, every single individual that can make mistake must be amended. There must be correction. That is what Femi Gbajabiamila, Chief of Staff, said, that if there's any medium at all that is being misused, there is need for us to amend. How do we amend? That's another question. In amending, you must carry the stakeholders along before a decision can be reached. It's just a suggestion by him. It's not an authority. The National Assembly is the authority. The Constitution is the authority. The judiciary is the authority. Let's start from somewhere and see where it will end. That is all.
But where do you stand? That's the question.
Yes, I stand where there's any and that's why I said anywhere at all, any sector that you can abuse, even as a legislator. If you can abuse your position, that your position should be regulated. As a governor, if you are abusing that your position should be regulated. As a judge, if you have abused your position, that your position should be regulated. So as a social media practitioner, if you are abusing your opportunity, it should be regulated with correction. And people should be carried along in doing that. That is it. There's nothing wrong in regulating. Nothing wrong.
Right.
But you must regulate in a manner that will be meaningful and understandable, and there must be wisdom.
Okay, you expatiate on what you mean by meaningful and the aspect of wisdom.
Of course.
Very
of course.
good.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so you started with the Constitution, freedom, fundamental human rights.
Yes, Section 22, Chapter 2 of the Constitution.
Absolutely. And also if you go to 38, 39 and all of that.
Yes.
But then some argue that regulating the social media will take away this freedom of speech that is guaranteed to them by the Constitution. So if you're doing this, they believe that is the only medium. They don't have access to newspapers, they don't have access to the traditional media. Rather, they have access to their phones, which, convergence of technology allows them to express what they feel, their innermost thoughts. So do you not feel that you'll be taking away these fundamental human rights?
You can't. The Constitution is supreme. The Constitution is very supreme. You can't take away that power from them by mere law. Law is just a subsidiary of the Constitution. The Constitution has given the social media practitioner a very large opportunity to use. And you must be objective. The objectivity is fundamental. Nobody can take it away. You must be able to uphold freely, responsibility and accountability of any government to the people. That's your job. In doing that, you must not abuse it. You must not. That's why I say, as a lawyer, if you're a lawyer, you must not abuse your practice. If you're a judge, you must not abuse your practice. If you're a legislator, National Assembly member, you must not abuse it. If you are doing that, people will regulate you. Law will regulate you. That is it. I agree that if your position is being abused, one way or the other, through somebody, you can challenge that person.
In this case, you're talking about social media. So you believe that the social media has been severely abused as we are currently.
If you use the word severely, I might not agree with you.
Okay, in what form of abuse?
It has been abused partially. Some people will just stay for and say, oh, Mr. Jide Jimoh is dead, and whereas I have not died. Is that an information that is good? Can't you confirm? It has happened so many times.
To you?
No, not even to me. I just use myself as an example. If I have chosen somebody else, another person might take me up. That's why I've chosen myself as an example. Somebody somewhere in Lagos, Mela said, Jide Jimoh is dead. I have told you, they have announced it before. To the extent that people are now calling me, Jide Jimoh is dead. Me, somebody has just spoken to me and I say, that is what you are talking about. Some people don't know the essence of this media. They don't know. TVC has never given anything wrong as an information. If you have been doing that, people will not be watching you. So that's what we are now saying, that it is very important for us to regulate wherever you are abusing your position as an individual and as an authority.
We've seen several countries try to regulate. Even as a country, we have tried several times to bring forward this regulation, but we have not been successful. But earlier you mentioned something that I said you were going to expatiate on. You were talking about it being meaningful, applying wisdom, and even you talked about transparency. So expatiate on all of these issues if the government is to go ahead with it.
When I said meaningful, I don't know, while I started, as a social media is a science that must be valuable.
Absolutely.
So in putting information out there, the information must be meaningful. Meaningful in the sense that it must correct. People must see that after investigation, this thing has been genuinely
meaningful
confirmed.
is relative. What might be meaningful to me may not be meaningful to someone else.
No, the word meaningful in this circumstance means something that when you hear at the end of the day, you will now say, no, this thing is genuine and it's correct. That's the word meaningful. So it depends on how you want to interpret it. Right. Before you put anything out there, investigate properly. That's the essence of mass media. That's the essence of mass media. You must be, it has to be investigative. It has to be educative. It has to be informative. If you don't have all these things, why do you have to put it outside there? I've just mentioned something now that somebody said about me. Because he has access to phone, so you can just disseminate any information out against somebody. No, it's not done. It's never done anywhere in the whole world.
Right.
It's against my own rights too. You have violated my rights.
There's a limit to everyone's rights.
Exactly. For the fact that Constitution has given you right, you must not abuse that right. That's what I'm saying. So for the fact that somebody said that there's need for social media to be regulated, nothing wrong. There's no crime in that. In doing that, apply wisdom. When I say wisdom,
very good.
Carry people along with you. The stakeholders, let them reason with what you are talking about. At the end of the day, the voice of reasoning, the voice of wisdom will prevail. That is the essence.
Well, so how about the matter of transparency that you also mentioned?
Transparency is very clear. It's trust. Anywhere you are, as you are here.
But you know how it is, that people, the trust deficit we have when it comes to government.
That's why you can take the government off at any time they have failed you. I remember vividly former Minister for Information, Jide, what he said to them, he said, if you are a governor, govern well. If you're a president, make sure you use opposition as president well. If you are this, you are that.
African China actually sang the song. Lead us well, govern us well.
Exactly. For the fact that you are somewhere, make sure you are in that position of trust. And you must guide it jealously. That is transparency. I cannot just come here today and say, no, TVC is this, is that. If I'm not sure of what you are doing, I can't be saying it. I can say it anywhere. To defend TVC anytime, any day, that this is what they have been doing, this is what they have been doing, and it's right. Somebody else can say another thing entirely, but I will say it in the way I believe it, with transparency.
Well, I think Section 45 of the 1999 Constitution actually, agrees with you when you talk about, because it says nothing in Section 37, 38, 39, 40, and 41 of this Constitution shall invalidate any law that is reasonably justifiable in a democratic society, and the subsection A, in the interest of defense, public safety, public order, etc., and for the purpose of protecting the rights and freedom of other persons. But critics of this, of regulation of the social media believe that it will stifle innovation because people use it, innovatively. And it also helps the business. Helps to reach out.
Remember when we banned Twitter, when the government banned Twitter? Yeah. We know the number of businesses, the amount of monies that people lost because there are those who were doing business on that platform or these platforms.
I have answered you. I said, you doing that, apply wisdom. That's simplicity. It's a very good approach. Why you want to take a decision as a lawmaker or as a body, as this and that? Carry stakeholders along before you take that decision. But national security is very important to you and I. And we have to make sure collaboratively we take it together and ensure that things are going on well for the peace and tranquility of the country.
Now, there's been reaction from Amnesty International where they also made some suggestions. And it says that the government can perhaps, since the government has all the measures in place, all the institutions in place, it can, trail those people who are perhaps criticizing the government and ensure that they are jailed for 3 years. Is it so difficult to trail persons, to track them in the society that we are in now?
It's not even good for government to trail those people that are criticizing you. Criticism is part of the process. As a government, expect people to criticize you, either constructively or negatively. All right. Whichever way it is, they can be tracked.
Very good.
They can be tracked with technology, with science. This science we are talking about, you can also use it to detect so many number of things. We have to make sure we move up and upgrade our system. Take the bull by the horn and let us see what is going to happen. We have not done well in this circumstance. We must do well. We must ensure we take the technology, the advantage of technology to detect so many number of things that we help the system. That is just it. It's a challenge to all of us.
But we all know that this social media we talk about Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X now.
Yeah. They have another thing is still come up.
Absolutely.
They have.
I hope you'll be able to generate one.
So all of those social media platforms, they have their regulatory frameworks too. They have their policies, and you can report. You can also ask that they ban. Well, they can ban when they see that some people have actually
put up statements. The shadow ban.
Yeah, exactly. So do you not feel that this is enough?
No, it's
regulation.
It's not enough. It's not. It's like House of Assembly or National Assembly now. We have in-house order. That order can be criticized by the larger society. And the Constitution is supreme. And the order can be quashed by law from in the court of law. So if that has been okay, people will not take the National Assembly to court and challenge the decision you have taken. So for the fact that you have your own organization, you have your establishment where you can regulate in-house, it's just like an internal memo of TVC. The internal memo of TVC cannot go outside and implement it against any other person. The fact still remains that if you have regulated your own body...
you can liaise.
That's what I'm saying. You can liaise, and at the same time, that's not enough. Where you have gone wrong, the law can take you up on that. But what we are now saying that let the due process of the law take its course. That's all.
Well, the government can start with liaising, like we saw when the ban of Twitter was done at the time. Recall that there was a statement made, and when that statement was pulled down was when we saw the ban on Twitter. But when it was lifted, conversation around it was said that there was not much that was put out with regards to why it was lifted in the first place. So these are the matters of transparency and trust that Nigerians are still looking to, if that can be built at this point.
That might be as a result of mistake from the part of the government then, but I think that has been corrected. And I know they will not make that kind of mistake any longer. In taking a decision, carry people along, let them know why you want to take the decision. And this is the essence. After the decision, no problem. People can challenge you, it take you to court. If you win, fine. If you don't win, that means you are wrong.
But you know how it is in this part again, that people do no longer trust the court itself. Remember how we got to this point.
It is not me that will now confirm that I'm not a judge, I'm not a court. All I know is that you cannot do any other thing other than go through the normal process. The last hope for every one of us, not common man again, I think is the court. So let's make that opportunity and use it judiciously.
Well, I think it's a catch-22 situation for those who are for and those who are against regulation of the social media. But then there is need for us to strike a balance.
Yes.
Those who have been using it to provoke, certain sentiments of the country, Nigeria, for instance, and other people who are also looking to, ensuring or entrenching sanity in the use of this, responsible use of these social media platforms. How would you like to, approach this matter in terms of what to do in order to strike a balance?
You see, to strike a balance in governance, you need to carry people along. And people must be patriotic enough to cooperate with the government, either to criticize or to support. At any time we have an issue as a people, you must ensure you contribute your own quota by way of patriotism. Ensure you voice out. At the end of the day, what I said in the beginning will prevail, which is wisdom. So that is just it.
Wisdom on whose part?
On two parts. On two parts. At the end of the day, it will prevail. If now you have invited me here, whether you are satisfied or you are not, that is left to the people that are listening to us. At the end of the day, I know I have made up my point. You have listened to me. You have queried me. You have questioned me. At the end of the day, I've told you what I believe in. People listening outside will now say, no, what he said, I think it's okay. Some people will say, I don't know. At the end of the day, we come to one center and agree on what to do, that we move the country forward in the name of patriotism.
But don't you think that at some point this will come back to haunt whoever, those that are pushing for this? Perhaps you know where I'm headed. It will come back to haunt those who are pushing for the regulation, because in an election year, we do not hear anything like regulation. We see people just make statements against one other party or the other, trying to push their campaigns and all of it. Aren't those also statements that perhaps are even misinformation in itself? At the end of the day, that's why I'm asking, wouldn't it come to haunt those?
Larger consideration is the most important thing. Larger number of people, majority will still take the votes at the end of the day. Because whether it will haunt those people or not, let the right thing be done at the right time and get results, positive results. That is it. Forget about whether some part of people will be affected or not. As a politician, if I know I'm not transparent enough and I want to rig an election, people can just take something and say, no, watch that one that is going there to rig. If I've been caught, that's the end of my rigging. So we can use that. Let's make sure that whatever thing we are doing is very, very objective, fundamental, and at the end of the day, is positive. To change things for better, not because of today, but because of tomorrow. That's it.
Well, there are so many other countries that have their own, especially
Kinds of
looking at
regulation,
talking about social media apps. For instance, I think there is Weibo in China.
China, yes.
And of course, well regulated. And you know how China works on ensuring that they regulate. Even North Korea, they have their own, that they ensure that whatever they do, they are able to
monitor.
With it. Yeah. So would you also canvass the same for Nigeria, that will have our own homegrown content? Because we've been talking about all of these monies, at the end of the day, do not even come back to us. We export, the forex out of the country.
Exactly.
So how do we have our own so that we'll be able to, while we are informing ourselves or misinforming ourselves, we are still making money?
This issue has brought about a lighter thought, in the sense that when you have an elastic thought of something, what is required for you to sit down, brainstorm, spread your tentacle, strengthen the position of things, tap from sources. Those people, there are some of our young guys in this country that are very good at this thing. Let us make use of them, improve on them, so that we can build our own system. It's because these people have advanced. That's why we are talking about it. If we can build our own system and make more money, as you have already pointed out, believe you me, it's going to be a thing of joy for this country. Maybe what we have started now, this issue, will bring about those things you are talking about. That is my own suggestion. The government must use that opportunity to tap from the brains. Because a lot of them might start to leave Nigeria and go to another place and start putting up something there, and that will be advantage to those people. Let's make use of those people.
The president in his campaign was looking at digital economy and also looking at employment of about, I think, 1 million of young persons in that sector. And so how the regulation works, and if it's, if it encourages them, will also be another thing entirely. But talk to us, if this regulation is done, what do you see happening? How much of an advantage would it be for our society?
Before regulations can be done, I've alluded to the point that we must carry people along with us.
Yes.
The stakeholders must be invited.
Absolutely.
Listening to both sides. At the end of the day, if regulation is the last thing that will work possibly for us, let it be. If it's not going to be the last thing that will work for us, let it be out. So in the sense that regulation is of necessity to control the system by way of amending the law that establishes this kind of things, that will help us. When that helps us, in Nigeria, in terms of employment, in terms of opportunity, in terms of anything positive, I think it will come up. I, for one, I foresee that to happen. And I know it will come one day. And that's just it.
The Dubawa is an organization that actually works on the fact-check issues, all of that. And there was a time they, brought up a poll and asked, what medium do you believe or do you trust when it comes to information? A lot of people went for social media. And that's the latest. And that speaks to the fact that, people are beginning to distrust the mainstream media because they believe that they, say things that the government probably wants to hear. But the danger in this is what she has actually, taking you upon, and you also, provide some, information on. So in all of this, when the government says, let's go this way, let's have our own homegrown content, but people are not buying into it, what do we do?
Well, is it as a government? That means you have not done what you should have done. You have to convince them to see reason in what you are proposing. Content is very important. Creating your own content for information, for transmission is very important. It will create more employment. It will create more money, revenue. It will create more opportunities. Convince your people. It's because the trust is not there. People don't trust government any longer. That's why we are having this problem. I think the government must come up with an idea through national orientation programs and ensure that you carry your people along. These are electorate. These are masses that are bigger than you, that you are in government. And we are all government, and not a single person that is government.
It's okay. We'll leave the conversation here now. Former member, House of Representatives, political analyst, Honorable Jide Jimoh. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.